we had two young boys, both of Sudanese descent, hacked to pieces in the streets of an outer Melbourne suburb that I'd never heard of before. Apparently it's somewhere near Melton. And this lasted, as a news story, barely a day.
Yeah.
How on earth have we got to the point that sort of murderous, heinous and horrendous crime, savagery on our streets is not the leading story for at least until, unfortunately, Charlie Kirk got shot?
Well, we have a government out of control in the sense that it can't control anything. And I think it goes back to the violence that we've seen in our construction industry, that Jacinta Allen, who was the minister responsible, has just turned a blind eye to it. So I think you have politicians who no longer care about what is the most important thing for a government to do, and that is to provide safety to the citizens, and they don't.
So what would be the logical extension of this from a cultural perspective if the government and the police are unable to provide safety for the populace? What's the logical extension?
Well, the logical extension is terrible, actually, because what will happen is you will have people themselves taking into their own hands protection, vigilantes.
We saw this to an extent a couple of weeks ago when a chap was about to get carjacked in his front yard, and managing to keep the doors locked, he reversed out of his driveway and then drove his car at the offenders.
Well,
which was on camera and shown on television. Which
any person who is involved in security, and I do chair a company that is involved in physical security,
right.
So I'm aware of, and that's access control and CCTVs. You never ever try to go out and catch the culprits. That's the last thing you do.
What you want to do is have them go away.
You have them go away, you lock yourself up, you give them everything. Do never, ever try to fight back. But unfortunately, younger people will want to fight back, and they'll want to take justice into their own hands, and they'll want to hurt the perpetrators.
Yes.
And we all feel for that. But this is not a vengeance movie.
Well, it then becomes the irretrievable breakdown of society, because it's the law of the jungle. Those who can and are strong enough will dominate those who can't and are weak.
Total law of jungle. You cannot have that, and it will be disaster. But government needs to stand up. Our government is not. Although I will say one thing, I think the new police commissioner, from what I can see at the moment, is very good.
Now, he's from Christchurch,
Yes.
and he's former he's a New Zealander, as I was originally. I'm tipping he's a bit of a hard ass, as they call him.
I think he is, and I think he's the right person. We have not had a decent police commissioner since Kel Glare.
Right. Yeah.
We've had terrible police commissioners appointed by terrible governments, unfortunately.
But doesn't that then flow down into the culture of the police force?
Of course it does.
And so how do you resolve that? Can the guy at the top do it in a short space of time? Or?
No. Unfortunately, this is going to take some years. But the culture isn't just through the police force. If I was a policeman and I arrested somebody who had just carjacked somebody's car and then took him to the courts, and then he was let off on bail, I would be throwing my hands up in despair and saying, why is this happening? What is happening here? So policing's one thing, but the most important thing are the people who are supposed to enforce the laws, the judges, the magistrates. They're half the problem.
How do we fix it?
Well, I think there are two things. I think Parliament needs to change laws and make it stricter in relation to bail. That's one. But I think magistrates and judges need to respect the community.
How do they hear from the community?
Well, they should.
No, but how do they hear from the community?
Well,
The community
the question is, do we have an effective opposition to raise these issues?
Well, I mean, judges live in the community.
Do they?
They live it. Well, you would wonder, but they do live in the community, and they should be applying. They should be listening to what the community wants, and they should apply what the community demands. Now, there are some things, of course, that judges need a discretion about, and I move just to one moment to the mushroom case. I think any person in this community should listen to the judgment given by His Honour in that case, because he thoroughly explained what the principles are in relation to sentencing. And I think people should understand that. But I think the problem with bail and children is that if an offender commits more than one offence after they've been bailed, they should not be bailed. And I think that will change their whole mental attitude as to what they're doing, number one. Number two, parents should take responsibility for children who are living with them under the age of 16. If a child under the age of 16 commits a carjacking or some other offence, the parents should be financially responsible for the damage. It's a no-brainer. Once you get that right, I think you'll change the attitude.